talking about that very thing, and they're looking at where do I move my money and what do I invest in, and it can't be U.S. based currency because they actually have a fear that it's going to be worthless, and they don't talk like it's inevitable that it will happen, but it is a possibility. And when highly intelligent people that follow financial trends are having this conversation just in general, that gets my attention. And certainly China is in a position to take over economically. I mean, just where people admit it. It's happening now, but people don't understand.
Right. We need to tend to our economy and to our educational system if we want to be competitive, and that's kind of the bottom line. I think, the more trade relationships we have with them, the deeper that goes, the better that is, right? Because they want to be a rival. But the more we know that we have to depend on one another in some way, the less that's likely to become a overt military rivalry. But
I
the
think
problem
that
is
trying to understand them as a traditional enemy is a mistake.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
This is
I say they're our arch enemy, not necessarily our traditional enemy. Because
but I mean,
rival. I don't think they're
this isn't like any other. All right, this isn't like any other arch enemy that we've ever had before. We weren't locked into a financial relationship with Nazi Germany or even communist Soviet Union the way we are with this country. And it goes both ways, by the way. They can't have a world without the United States. I mean, that's a fact.
They could certainly, and would I would think, relish having a world with a greatly diminished United States.
Well, so would most of our so-called allies.
And a world where the dollar is no longer the official exchange currency, and it becomes a basket of currencies that includes their currency.
We have enabled that more than anything they've done.
That's true.
We're the ones that hollowed out the dollar.
Yes, we are complicit. Yes, we definitely are.
So maybe the arch enemy are really the politicians that have hollowed out our own currency, and now are saying, "Look over there; those guys are the bad guys. Don't look over here at what we did or didn't do." I get a whiff of distraction to all of this. The idea being that the threat is always external.
No. It's very much internal. I mean, we were just talking earlier. If look at the situation that we find ourselves today with so much debt. The government could tax every one of us 100% of our income and still not pay off our debt.
That, but, yes,
our debt would still not be paid off.
Look, I'm not denying that China is a challenge. I think the people that are speaking the loudest about it are in some cases trying to distract us from other things.
Possibly.
And I also would say this. A lot of what I read about China indicates it's no utopia, economically or otherwise. They've got a massive construction bubble that's going to burst. They're not going to be able to sustain
food inflation.
10 and 12% growth is not going to continue endlessly. And there's a real question about whether they're even able to govern that country. The government of Beijing is clearly not in control of some of those inner provinces. So, the closer you look, the more down-to-earth China becomes. It's a big country, it's a powerful country, but you know what, so is India. And India is another growing and burgeoning economy whose best years are probably ahead of it. I think it's going to be a very complicated world, and no, it probably won't be dominated by the United States. But we should look inward at some of the things we've done to diminish ourselves before we look at anything.
At least they all speak English.
They've done. Well, apparently he doesn't. And
but everybody around
they're not real strong
does.
in the translation department either, as it turns out. By the way, I liked the governor of Hawaii. He gets my award. He's governor of the month for me. Governor of Hawaii, Neil Abercrombie. Have you heard this story? He ran last year on a promise. He's a Democrat. That if elected, he would once and for all end this birther nonsense about Barack Obama. We're going to get in there. I'm going to find the birth certificate. We're going to shut these people up. He has now had to admit, I can't find the birth certificate. Barack Obama's friends may be harder on him than his enemies. I mean, thanks for nothing. You know what I mean? Thanks for promising you would find it and then saying, oh, it's not here. How hard can it be to find this thing? Where is it? I'll tell you what's hard to find, the library book my kid brings home. That's hard to find. This has got to be somewhere.
You would think.
How about from now on, I said this week on the show, this is my proposal. I'll accept Barack Obama. It's too late. What are you going to do? Unring the bell? Fine. From now on, everybody that runs for president, let's have that birth certificate right up front. Would that be too much to ask?
No.
You got to get it laminated. Carry it with you where you go. Let's just not have this ever again.
Does it
all
count
right?
as your voter ID card?
Sure, whatever. Whatever. I mean, it wouldn't, because I mean, in the future, there's going to be more disputed parenting and mixed families, and right. I mean, he won't be the last president or presidential candidate. Yeah, it needs to be the original.
It needs to be the original because then your parents can totally screw up your chance.
Then you're not going to be. Yeah, well, then parents need to take good care of that if they want their kid to be
Wow, I don't think I
president.
know where my original birth certificate.
You're never going to be president. We're coming back with the lightning round, 11:26 on KTSA. .30 on KTSA. Today's JR poll. You can vote right now at 599-5555. Do you think a 1995 felony charge for check forging should disqualify a candidate for city council? Yes or no? And we'll have results of the JR poll right before 1 o'clock on KTSA. 599-5555. On Gang of Four today, we have Elaine Wolff, who really isn't checking her... You're not checking your iPhone that much.
You haven't thrown out any crazy
She didn't
statistics
break out
yet.
an iPhone.
I was going to say, I thought maybe that meant the show was interesting.
Yeah, my Jack Mac.
You
I'm actually
were
paying
truly
attention.
bored today. Cathy Meyer has not checked her brick phone once during this show either. And Doug Vair hasn't looked out the window for smoke signals. So they're all very engaged today. You like that. Are any of you travelers? You travel a lot.
Not anymore. I can't stand to go to the airport.
Yeah.
Well, for business travelers out there, Marriott has announced this week they're pulling access to adult movies in their hotel rooms, ending that long, proud tradition of hotel room porn.
Are they not making money at it?
That must be it, right? There must be too much free porn out there. They can't make a buck. They say they discussed for years about the availability of adult entertainment in guest rooms. Is it appropriate? Can you put safeguards? Business travelers increasingly are bringing their own devices, their iPod and so forth and whatnot, or their
There's
laptop.
An app for that.
So I guess they've decided to do away with it, which means that now when you're in a Marriott, you'll just have to listen to the sex going on in the room next door. To be able to watch it on your TV screen anymore. Everybody gets a lawyer now. Have you noticed that? No matter how wrong you are, the woman. Have you all seen the video, the internet video, the woman who was walking along in the mall, texting on her phone, and she fell face first into the water fountain?
That was not funny.
She's got a lawyer. Ron Franklin's got a lawyer. Ron Franklin's the ESPN announcer. He's also a Houston guy, right? He's a Houston sports guy who, during an off-the-air meeting with the ESPN people working the Chick-fil-A Bowl, referred to sideline reporter Janine Edwards as sweet cakes and a few other things we can't say on the air. They fired him, and now he's suing for breach of contract because he says unless you're unprepared for the broadcast or commit an act of moral turpitude, they should not void his contract. I mean, he didn't call her sweet cakes on the air, right? That would have been wrong.
I think he's got a heck of a case myself.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Well, what did he do to violate the terms of his contract?
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key right there.
So maybe they need to write into the contract, you may not call Janine Edwards sweet cakes.
Right.
By the way, couldn't sweet cakes, I'm looking at the ladies of the panel now, could sweet cakes ever be a compliment?
From the right person in the right circumstances, sure.
Maybe whispered.
Which I don't think this was.
If you're
right?
a baker.
Like pillow talk, maybe,
Yeah.
but not in a business setting.
If I'm making cupcakes, that's fine with me.
Okay.
But if you're referring to my cupcakes as anything else but bakery goods.
If
All
we're
right,
referring to,
cakes. Let me tell you something. I think part of the problem, right, is like what is the atmosphere that woman is working in, right? And are they allowing or promoting an atmosphere in which she feels that the way she's treated is not appropriate based on her gender?
Which
and
is
then
shocking.
They would have a
on
bigger
all
question.
sports
I know,
network
right?
that a woman would have a
Yeah.
hostile workplace.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
So they do have to address it in some way. Was terminating him the right way? I don't know enough about it.
But you know, there is no constitutional right to not be offended.
There's a legal right not to be harassed though in certain situations
Harassment,
based
yes,
on certain
right.
categories,
But there is no constitutional right to not be offended.
And so the question is, was this harassment or
Exactly.
was it just offensive? And then what's happening in that larger workplace environment? Do they have an issue if they don't address it?
And is she in fact a sweet cake? Maybe she's a very sweet person.
She might be.
All right. I've never heard of this woman, but she's a supermodel, so I guess I should have heard of her. Brooklyn Decker? Brooklyn Decker, how about that?
I have no idea.
We're gonna win the world.
She gives an interview with the new issue of Self magazine, which of course I always study for this show. And she talks about various things. She says that her favorite place to shop is Target, because you can get fashionable clothes at a fraction of the price elsewhere. So she's a very practical girl, this Brooklyn Bridge, whatever her name is. But then she says when she was young, she was insecure about being skinny and gangly. People made fun of her and called her a boy. She prayed. She says, I remember praying for boobs and a butt.
Sweet cakes.
And I thought that was really interesting, because when I was younger, I prayed for boobs and a butt,
Yes,
too.
you
Just
did.
not on me.
And it
Why
worked.
are
Prayer
you
works.
sharing that with us?
I didn't get mine, but she got hers. Well, but power of prayer.
is the theme.
Power of prayer. She
Oh,
prayed for her
sorry, I
body.
missed that.
She prayed. That's what we haven't done
If
enough
she'd
of.
had a rosary, it would have been a whole different.
Imagine what she'd look like then.
Exactly.
Yay. All right.
Those nuns don't
I
wear
am
those
praying
big
for a
tents
better
for
lightning round question.
All right. Here's another one. I've heard of this before. I don't know a lot about it, but apparently Switzerland is the #1 destination of choice for people who want to die. They call them suicide tourists. Have you ever heard of this? It's the #1 place people go to find a doctor who will assist them in ending their life.
I'd rather go to Vegas.
And really, I'm sure you could find somebody there who would
They're a
help
more
you.
fun place
And
to
of course,
die
the
than
poor folk just got
Switzerland.
to jump off.
Now Switzerland is trying to change that. They don't like the image of being #1 in suicide tourism, and so they're trying to change that. In 2009, there were nearly 400 assisted suicides involving foreigners. That's hard to put on a poster, you know.
Is there the International Association of Suicidal Tourists?
Well, they have doctors that will help you, and it's not against the law. So I guess it's not that they're not marketing it; they just happen to be the recipient of it.
So how are they trying to change that?
That's what I'm wondering about.
Different ad campaign.
Yeah, maybe a more positive, upbeat, up with life kind of message. But no, I thought that was interesting.
They're just circulating really pretty pictures of the Golden Gate.
It seems like, if you're #1 in something, maybe you should turn that into a positive. Why not say, hey, 400 last year, 500 next year?
Are they worrying that it's discouraging other people from coming? I mean, why is
It
this?
sounds kind of depressing, doesn't it? Like, if you tell people you're going to Switzerland, they start to worry about you, maybe check in on you more
I think
often.
International Hemlock Society conventions, though.
Do you all remember the Octomom?
Sure.
Remember the
Who could
Octomom?
forget?
Who could forget her? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Octomom, Nadia Suleiman is her name. And she had what? What did she have, 14 kids?
Well,
finally?
what, 8? No, how many at once? Now, Octo 8, yeah.
She had 8 at once, but she has,
She had 6, 5,
She
or
has a
6.
bunch
Let
of-
me do
Yeah.
math in my head.
Yeah.
I think it's 14. Let's just go with 14. So she's got 14 kids. She, obviously life must be hell. The kids are crawling all over each other. She can't keep them all straight. So now she has made, I know you've probably been wondering, what is she up to? What's the latest with her? Why aren't we hearing more about her?
She's pregnant
Here's an
again.
update. She's not pregnant, thank God. She has made some sort of dominatrix video.
Beautiful.
In which she and a grown man dressed as a baby act out these various scenarios where he cries and she whips him and all of that. This is to raise money to support the 14 children. I don't understand the logic of all the things she could do. This seems like the worst, other than maybe taking a trip to Switzerland. This seems like the worst thing she could
No
be
one in a
doing.
Marriott hotel room will see it.
No one will see it. What is up with? I mean, I seriously think she must be insane, right? She must be literally
Or smart.
crazy.
Or she's really smart
Yeah,
because
she
you
she's
think she'll make a lot of money
It's a
off this
low
stuff?
barrier to
she
entry, yeah.
she's tapped into something here
Don't say tapped.
that may just be bigger than most of us think.
Well, I don't think you're going to make any money. I
I'm
mean,
getting it. I'm getting
this
it.
thing will go straight to YouTube, and she'll make no
everyone else
money
gets it
off
for
of it.
free.
And now, how does she look like a fit mother? I mean, who decides to make a dominatrix video
Well-
to support the kids? That's not exactly a.
Well, she's already proven she's not a fit mother, Jack.
Well, she's a very fit mother. I mean, she's as fertile can be.